I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Reverend Harshberger.
Pleasure to be here, and I want to go into prayer. Everybody bow their head. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Lord bless this council that they do the right decisions for the city of Allen Park and protect our police department and our fire department as they're out doing their duties each and every day. And the people in the city that work in the building here and do the work of the city, that things are going the way they should be going, because a lot of people you need to watch over and bless them. And then the citizens of Allen Park, that we have to understand what the council and them are doing to build a better neighborhood here, a better city. And I want to thank the Lord for this, and we all say amen.
Amen. Thank you. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilman Templin.
Present.
Councilman Sisko is asked to be excused. Councilman DiGiulio.
Here.
Councilwoman Gabarecki.
Present.
Councilman Rourke. Here. And Madam Pro Tem McLeod.
Here.
Will be chairing the meeting. We have a quorum, Madam.
Hey, may I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
Motion.
Motion by Mr.
Support.
Support, Mayor Pro Tem.
I had a motion by Mr. Templin.
Templin,
and
support.
by Councilwoman Gabarecki. Are there any changes, additions, corrections, or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, can I have a vote to approve the agenda? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion there, Mayor Pro Tem.
Motion by Mr. DiGiulio, support by Councilman Rourke. Any questions, corrections? We have a vote to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Hey, organizational business. Mr. Kibbe.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, residents of Allen Park. Just a few updates on some things going on here in the city. At the February 26th council meeting, the City Council started the process for the defeasance of the 2009 A and B bonds that will occur in May. At that time, the city will be paying off just around $9 million in debt and avoid paying nearly $8.3 million in interest payments over the next 20 years. I think that's a huge endeavor that was taken on by the finance director and the mayor and council support, and it's all coming together now. The funds necessary to make all this happen have been wired to the escrow bank BNY Mellon. I think it was in the range of $9.3 million total was what was sent over to pay for the current bond payment interest and then the amount needed for the defeasance. So in 2009 A and B were part of the movie studio project. As you recall, through Bob's efforts, we refinanced, or we did an unsolicited sale, and we sold $16.75 million worth of bonds back in, what did we do, that's 16, 17. And so that is what's outstanding now. And then this was the other $9 million that was not, we were not able to sell at that point in time. They are now callable, and that's what we're paying off now. So out of that whole movie studio project, we have the $16.75 million left, but we are getting rid of $9 million in debt right now. So it's going to be a great day when that payment is finally made on those. In May, the city will be petitioning S&P Global ratings to raise the city's long-term and underlying rating on the existing general obligation, the GO debt, from a triple B plus to an A or better is what we're hoping for. This will allow the city to refinance higher interest bonds for continued savings. Finance Director Katie also confirmed with me that the preliminary review of that will occur on April 19th. As you can see, Bob's been busy with the budget. He's been busy with the defeasance. He's busy with the S&P ratings. We do let him go home once in a while, but once in a while, just there, so. Allen Park Public Library is one of the 35 libraries that has been selected to participate in the Braille Enhanced Story Walk here in the summer of 2019. Not only is it an exciting new program for the patrons to be participating in, but by including the Braille, it offers an opportunity for the library to embrace accessibility and equal access to information. And I don't have a whole lot of more details on that. Sandy Blakely will have that here in the next couple of weeks as they go through. But it's kind of cool that we're one of 35 throughout the whole state to participate in that. So hats off to Sandy for jumping on that one as quickly as she did. I think she sent it in as soon as it came in, was notified that same morning that we were awarded to be one of the 35. So it was really, really a neat deal. As you have driven past Culver's here on Southfield Road, you notice a portion of the building has now been torn down. That is to help to accommodate the drive-through that's going to be going in. They should be, I'm hoping by maybe midsummer. Look big, maybe midsummer, I think is probably their timeline to open up there. Del Taco, they started to put the building back together. I think if you drove by there, you saw it was just a brick shell for a couple days. They're now starting to put their look back into the building at the old Wendy's there on Southfield. Work continues on the Marriott Town Place Suites at the old City Hall property. We went by there today. They have placed some steel beams for the upper floor structure, so they're making some progress there, and nice to see that project going along. The proposed fiscal year 2019-20 budget was distributed to the Mayor and Council this prior meeting this evening. We've scheduled a budget work session for next Tuesday, April 16th, 6 o'clock here at the City Hall. I believe we'll be in the council conference room behind us to go over the budget with the Mayor and Council. And then the proposed fiscal year 2019-20 budget public hearing has been scheduled for Tuesday, April 23rd. That is 2 weeks from today. We'll have that budget public hearing for the public to make comments on that. City Hall will be closing tomorrow at 11:30 for staff training. And then just a couple of employees are going to be reaching some milestone years of service here with the city. Dave Williams out of the police department, 25 years on April 14th. April 14th must be was a busy day back in 25 years ago, because we have Dave Williams from the police department, we have Jim Soden from the police department, Bill Mihal, also police department, and Dan Mack from the police department, all celebrating 25 years on April 14th. And then Chris Franco, also from the police department, and Matt Miller from the police department are celebrating their 5th year with the city. So we appreciate their years of service and continued years of service. In the packet that I've given Mayor and Council, I've included a letter myself and Tom sent out to the residents on McLean and Park Avenue. When the council approved the projects for the millage roads last council meeting, we want to make sure we get that out there as early as possible. Normally the DPS or Bucelli Group will pass out flyers letting people know this is how you handle your trash, this is what you do for parking and so forth. But a lot of times it's after the fact that the equipment's already showed up. We want to kind of get ahead of the curve a little bit, so we don't have an issue with people, garage sales, scheduled or anything like that. So they kind of know what's going on ahead of time. So we want to get this information out as quickly as possible. So we sent that out, and you have a copy of it. And then I've included some information. I think last council meeting I gave the Mayor and Council information from Governor Whitmer's proposal on the gas tax. This was the road funding that was approved by the legislature last year or a year before. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody has the information of what's been approved in the past, what's being presented, so everybody can make an informed decision as you go forth with your wallet and tax dollars as well. So budget out, I think everything should be good to go for next week. If there's any questions on the budget you have beforehand, always feel free to give us a call, myself, Bob, or Amanda, and we'd be happy to answer any questions we can.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Kibbe on his report? If not, then can I have a motion? Mr. Orr?
Support.
Give it to Ms. Kevin.
Kevin and Tina, thank you. And I have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is passed. Obviously, I'm not Mayor Matakas, but we have the material and the appointment of Kim Carlson to an open position on the Housing Commission.
I'd like to table that item, please.
We have a request to table the item.
Support.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion, it's tabled. Thank you. Okay, now we come to public comments. Comments are limited to 4 minutes, and all we ask is that when the residents come up to the podium, if they would simply give their name and the street on which they live. We do not want you to publicly give your address, but just your name and street. So anyone wishing to come forward?
Good evening. My name is Mario, Allen Road. I was up here several months back talking about Vitrino's restaurant. They finally closed down because he had to, because Allen Park residents weren't supporting him like he should. So I'm kind of paying the price for it now. I've got one job. I had two. He said he won't build another place in Allen Park again because how they treated him. And I was just wondering if they're going to do the same thing to Chick-fil-A and Culver's or any other restaurants that's going to be opening. Yeah, he won't open up no more. He's had it with Allen Park. He's going to open up somewhere in Farmington area. I'm just ashamed of my fellow Allen Parkers. I lived in Allen Park all my life, and I recently heard stories about how Allen Park chases certain people out of Allen Park, out of their businesses, whatever. And I think that's kind of sad, and that's all I got to say.
Business fails and it's our fault.
Dennis Hayes, Quant Avenue. I had about 3 points. One, or maybe it's a recommendation. I would recommend that the city administrator, city treasurer do an audit to determine how many people are fraudulently claiming principal residence exemption. I'm aware of at least 2. I dare say there's probably dozens more. I'd also question how many of these people who are claiming principal resident exemptions are occupying a home with tenants, rental. They haven't registered with the rental process. I say this because I recently had my triennial inspection notice, which I'm happy to receive and happy to comply with and happy to pay for, frankly, $175. But it occurred to me that when the gentleman, Mr. DeRocha, who is a very professional individual, came to my property, we went through everything, and he found a couple minor things that I have to repair. One of them was a driveway that had declined over the last couple of years since the last inspection, which I'm going to have repaired. I have somebody coming tomorrow to look at it. But it occurred to me how many properties that are occupied by tenants that are claimed as a principal residence exemption are out there. And as I say, I know of 2 precisely, and I'm not doing your job for you. You can figure it out yourselves. It's easy enough to do. Secondly, I wanted to ask if, and you can answer this after I'm finished through the chair to Mr. Kibbe. Please refrain from answering until I'm finished. I'd like to know about Paris Street and whether it's still on the list of repairs. And finally, we're all well aware, because I hope the public's aware, because I tried to make them aware of a recent litigation that resulted in us paying a large settlement to an employee because of sexual harassment. It's going to cost us maybe a couple $100,000 in settlement, and then untold hundreds of thousands in benefits through pension that she or he wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and health benefits that are being paid through the rest of the person's life. A sizable thing. Then, just so happened, I was in another neighboring city the other day, and I happened to hear a couple public employees from that community, I'm not going to mention which, jawing about the fact that Allen Park's got another sexual harassment case going. And I thought to myself, we've stood here some of us, Mr. McGusson for one, myself as another, and I'm sure others, when does zero tolerance mean zero tolerance? And if indeed this is true, has the perpetrator been terminated? And if not, why not? So I hope that you're doing a thorough investigation with an eye towards ending this culture of indifference to people that are different than ourselves, whether it's a female or a male, I don't know which it is. It cannot be allowed to happen, particularly in this climate. Look at poor Joe Biden. Just for touching somebody, he's getting run out of town, you know. Look at all these other people that have had these problems. Please, for God's sake, the city cannot afford to settle any more cases because of some smart-ass remark, pardon my French, or some indifferent attitude towards a person of the opposite sex, or creating a hostile work environment. It's just not something we do in this day and age. Thank you very much. And Mr. Kibbe, if you would, I'd appreciate knowing if Paris is still on the list. Thank you.
If I may, through the chair, Paris is not on the reconstruction list for this year. Under, I'm not too sure on that. I have to check on the. It may be on the list for sectioning though. Is that area in the north end? Some of those streets were better suited for sectioning as opposed to total reconstruction.
Hi, my name is Dan Lloyd, Astor Avenue. And I just kind of wanted to speak to the comments about Allen Park residents not supporting Allen Park businesses. I was actually just having this conversation with a friend just recently, how it seems like we have had an exceptional couple of years for new businesses. We've had Luke and Lulu's on Allen Road and Timothy O'Malley's that just opened just opposite of us and are doing very well. Mix on Roosevelt. A number of really nice restaurants and bars, and Allen Park is becoming more and more a vibrant community that people want to visit. And I very much like Ventrino's. I called up the week that they closed down because I love their pizza. It was delicious, but sometimes that's the way that markets go. So I just wanted to make a quick comment for Allen Park businesses because I think that Allen Parkers do a pretty good job of supporting Allen Park restaurants, and I think that that's something that needs to be said. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor Pro Tem, Ray McGusson Quant. A couple questions you can answer through the chair. Once I get done, please. The bridge that's on Reek, was that not slated to be repaired a number of years ago? And if it was, why wasn't it repaired at that time? And now it's going to be repaired. Is it going to be repaired this time to make sure that water does not go on to those steel girders? Because that was brought up a number of years ago. The next thing, I'm going to bring up the sexual harassment lawsuits or whatever they are. It's a total waste of our money. It's a total waste of taxpayers' money. It's total waste of your time. Something has to be done. It needs to be addressed. And when it's addressed, it needs to be brought out to the public that it's being addressed. I'd like to see a zero tolerance policy addressed and posted of what needs to be done. It should be posted, that we, the citizens, know it's posted, that anyone who's working in the city is being trained and being told that if they are caught doing this, they're going to be terminated, plain and simple. And then maybe they should also pay for the lawyer fees. This is a waste of our money. Another thing is, when we appoint people to our commissions, it would be nice if they are notified that they're being appointed. And maybe we can recognize them here in front of, at a city council meeting. Then instead of them not even knowing they're being appointed, and that they find out. The next thing I'm going to bring up is going ahead and taking care of our businesses within our cities. The citizens go ahead and they go to the businesses, they support them, but there's a big problem. We got Facebook, and when a business opens up, and I hate to say it, and they're not ready to open, and the service is not as great as it should be, it puts a black eye on them and it puts a bad name on them. Then people just don't go to the businesses no more. So, and the $9 million, Mark, that's what I need you to address. The $9 million, is it payable? Is it paid? Is it going to, where did the $9 million come to pay off the bonds? Question.
The $9 million one, I'm gonna ask if Bob can come up and kind of walk through that one a little bit.
Please do. Thank you
And
very much.
I'll check on the Rake Road one from before. I know we did some stuff there, but I don't know if it was just that we reduced the weights on that, and that was the extent of that. I'll have to double check on that.
I knew they knew water was going on those girders before, and it was supposed to be addressed, but thank you very much. Have a great day.
Good evening. As everyone remembers up here, but I'll edify for the audience, a couple of years ago, the council made a conscious decision to call the 2009 A and B bonds when they were callable, which is this May of 2019. The money came from two sources, actually three sources. We started saving the money as much as we could from the land contract payments from the buyer, the purchaser. And then last year, they paid off the remaining $6 million that was due on their land contract, which enabled us to take that money along with a transfer from the general fund to put enough away to pay off the bonds that are callable this May, which is the $9 million. I hope that answers Mr. McGusson's question. They are in an escrow right now, and they will be paid off when they're callable May 1st. The law, or basically the rule is, they have to be in the hands of a third party 30 days before the call, before they'll issue the call notices to the bondholders. So they are in the hands of BB&T, which was the winning bidder for the escrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charles Blunt, Champaign. First off, wonderful weather we're having outside. Feels like spring now, not winter. Fingers crossed. Thank you to the city or the Wayne County Road Department, whoever filled the potholes down my street that I've been talking about for the last couple of meetings. Thank you for listening. Through the chair to Mark Kibbe, the general fund budget that will be going on the couple weeks from now, you said at the work session that once they say yes to it, it will be on the website for residents to look at?
No, I believe that it is going to be put on the website tomorrow.
Well, no, yeah, so
It will be available for residents to see the budget on the website starting tomorrow, before the review and before the approval.
Okay, thank you. Next, when I came in today, I noticed, and I know we talked about this in the past, about the handicap doors right in the front. When I pressed the button, only one of the two doors opened. I hope soon it'll get fixed so that, I don't know if it's just for one door or if it's both, but just something to look into. And I'm glad to see that there's a ramp right here now. I know that's new. And like the one resident said about businesses, I'm glad to see that empty buildings are being filled in the past few years, that going down like Allen Road and all that stuff, that I'm glad businesses are coming to Allen Park and just staying positive about it. Stuff about communication. Thank you, Mark Hibbe, for giving us always updates, and like you recognize the employees and their anniversaries. I know where I work, it's great to know, be acknowledge for hard work and stuff. I hope that we can have something more than in the future, more than just Facebook, because not everyone has a computer in Allen Park and doesn't have a Facebook account. So I hope there'd be more and more for residents to know. For instance, if like at this moment in time, I hope that we can start talking about, I'm not sure if there will be a Memorial Day parade that there was in the past. I know past couple of years there's just been the event at Champaign Park, but start talking about that so more residents can get involved to watch and see and all that stuff. I encourage residents to keep coming up here and speak to the council. I'm glad to see that the audience is getting more and more people out there, and I hope everyone has a wonderful couple weeks and stay positive. Thank you.
Good evening, Bob Lloyd, Robinson Avenue. First, I agree with Mr. Hayes and Mr. McGusson, obviously, on sexual harassment. Zero tolerance is the only way to go. But I suppose if we make a settlement with an individual, that's not a plea of guilty. So I would think the city could be responsible possibly for punishing them for that. Is that correct or not? I'm sorry, through the chair to the attorney.
Well, yeah, people are punished when they violate the policies.
Okay, so it's not, you don't need a guilty plea, or you don't need a guilty verdict of a person for sexual harassment in order to punish them.
Correct, but every matter stands on its own.
Okay.
So
it goes to
but
the
but let
internal
me assure
process.
you, there's no one here who looks the other way on things. These things are taken very seriously by this administration.
Okay, and I have no reason right now to believe that's not true. So I take your word on that, certainly, Mister. I appreciate that. And I don't know if this is up to date. And my phone skills are lacking. But I see that we have positions: police officer, entry-level, full-time, closing date until positions are filled; full-time firefighter, paramedic, closing date until positions are filled. Is that an indication we're having trouble getting applicants, or what is the update on that?
Through the chair, you are absolutely correct. Because 15 years ago, when we put an ad in the paper, because we didn't use the internet 15 years ago here, we get over 150 people apply for police and fire. And that would be open for a 2.5, 3-week period, and we'd only grab the top 10, 15, 20 people. Now we can't beg in 2 months 30 people to apply, so you are correct. That's how the field is now, yes.
And I understand that we have fewer people going into those areas, as we have, I know at least one council member who understands that. However, I think we do need to, as a city, kind of find a way to make this city more attractive to people of public service in order to serve the citizens here. And unless we do, I believe that it's going to hurt all of us. And so sometimes I think we think too much about the immediate situation. In other words, it might cost more. And we don't think about long term. And long term is, Allen Park has always been known as one of the safest cities in this area, and I want to keep it that way. I'm not offering any solutions right now. I'm just making clear the problem. But that's all. I'll say thank you.
If I may, through the chair.
Yes.
I'm gonna probably get the numbers wrong, but I'll do the best I can. I think in the last application process for a police officer, we had eight applicants. The day of the interview, I think we had one call back in, and that took it down to 7. And out of those 7, there's 6 good candidates that we have right now for PD. The problem that you have, and this is not only a problem here in Allen Park, it's a problem all over the downriver area. It's a problem all over Michigan, probably all over the country, is you just don't have people going into this field. You know, I'll be honest with you, I have an 18-year-old son. I don't know if I'd encourage him to go into this field. It's a dangerous field, and it's not respected by a lot of people, and it's a shameful that we're at that point in time. But the chief is trying to make sure we get positions filled, and as soon as we seem like we make strides in getting to a certain level, we have somebody retire or something else happens. So we just kind of keep spinning our wheels. But 6 good candidates out there, and hopefully we'll be able to come again, introduce them, and then I complain that I'm falling behind the introduction of new officers once again. But I happily do that any time. So just the times we're going through right now.
Just to piggyback on that, I think that some of the postings you see, in particular for the fire department, are an effort to accumulate an inventory of applicants. And I know that both the fire department and the police department have done everything they possibly can to bring in candidates. I know that Chief Wilkowitz has gone to the schools. There's been discussion about doing some other planning or some options that other communities have used. But again, I know tucked away somewhere in one of my folders is a newspaper article I got from a national newspaper that was decrying the fact that all of the cities are experiencing just extreme difficulty, in particular in getting people to go into police work, but even fire departments. However, with some of our communities in Michigan experiencing issues as far as income, I was talking to a gentleman the other evening, and he works in a community that's considered to be rather affluent, but they're cutting back. So it's happening all over. So maybe we'll pick up some people there. But thank you.
Real quick through the chair, we do have a job opening posted right now for a clerical position. So if you know of anybody looking for a clerical position, we do have one posted. I probably, through Monday, I probably had 12 applications that had been sent through just on a posting from our Facebook page, and what gets out when clerk sends over to the News Herald, they post them up on some websites, and I think that went in the paper on Sunday, and I know we've gotten more. I've seen them pop up on my email. So I think last time for a clerical position a year ago, we had 48 applicants. That is nowhere near what it was 25 years ago, when we probably have 300 to 400 people. And the same thing with the fire, with police department. I think when Chief Wilkowitz got here 23 years ago, he said he was in a class of 300 to 350 applicants. It's just not the same as it once was.
Do we have any other residents who want to come forward and make comment? In that case, we'll close public comments and move on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Gavarrecki.
Support.
Supported by Councilman Templin. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is carried. Resolutions. Resolution 1, resolution to retain the professional services of Miller, Canfield, Paddock, and Stone PLC for the refinancing of bonds. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman
Support.
Rourke, support by Councilwoman Gavarrecki. Are there any questions? Okay, can I have a vote to approve? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution has carried. Resolution 2. To authorize the City of Allen Park to apply for an MDOT Local Agency Project Critical Bridge Fund grant and agree to the following terms. Agree to support the repair of the Reek Road and M39 Southfield Service Drive bridges. Agree to pay 5% of the construction cost at a cost of $149,010. agrees to pay for the project engineering cost and construction engineering cost, and agree the project will be included in the 2022 LAP projects. Motion by Councilman Rourke, support by Councilman Templin. Are there any discussion, questions? Okay, can I have a vote? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion, resolution is carried. Resolution 3, to approve the Downriver Development Authority to paint bump outs at the four corners of Allen Road and Philomene Avenue intersection. May I have a motion?
Motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman DiGiulio, support by Councilman Gavarrecki. Are there any questions, discussion?
Maybe just a little bit of discussion, explain what this is
Okay,
going to
we'll
be.
ask Ms. Kibbe to come up and tell us, since she's
Thank you.
the one requesting.
This will be at the intersection of Allen and Philomene. So the four bump outs, right now you don't drive over them because they're just striped white. And so we're painting in a more colorful design that will, again, slow traffic down because they'll see that there are pedestrians in the road. Add a little bit of vitality to downtown. It's part of our program of low-cost, high-impact projects for the next year while we build up money to do a South Allen streetscape.
Maybe you might just want to explain it. No, I just a question that the paint you're going to be using is going to be.
It's a special paint for pavement.
Yeah.
It meets all of the federal regulations about slipperiness for vehicles, and it's also a very durable paint. All of the designs will be done with stencils designed by an artist so that we can touch them up as needed if the paint starts to wear off.
Thank you.
If I may, through the chair, I would just request that to add to the resolution of, if it's approved, that a line delineating a white line delineating the roadway from the project design would be included. And that was a request from both Chief Wilkowitz and from the city engineer.
Want to read the resolution with the addition?
We have a motion by DiGiulio, supported by Gavarrecki, that the Downtown Development Authority is hereby approved to paint bump outs at the four corners of Allen Road and Philomene Boulevard intersection, as long as there's a delineating white line to be added at the roadway.
Is that approval?
I'm good with that. Thank you.
Right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Thank you very much. And resolution 4, to approve, lady in waiting, to approve the Downtown Development Authority to paint activity paths on 5 DDA district sidewalks in the public right-of-way, and to include small painted sponsor acknowledgements on each path.
Motion.
Explain that to us.
I'll make the motion.
Activity paths is such a boring title for these.
I'll support it.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
got ahead of myself. All right, Mr. Templin, motion, and supported by Councilman Gavarrecki. Go.
So activity paths are such a boring name for what this project is. They're painted paths on the sidewalk that encourage kids or anybody to follow the path and jump or skip or hop or dream. We'll be again issuing RFPs for artists to design them, but the library's already submitted one with a book-based path that it's really cool. So these two will be painted in the slide paint with stencils so that we can touch them up, and designed by local artists.
Does anyone have any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Now we will go on to other business.
I'll go. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. It's nice to see so many students out here tonight, keeping the tradition going, I think, there, Mr. Lloyd. Thank you for some new faces up here for your comments. To the department heads back there, thank you for all that you do for the residents in the city. Mark, I think I might have missed it, but maybe you might want to mention about City Hall being closed tomorrow. I don't think.
We can reiterate that. City Hall will be closing again tomorrow.
Did you say it already
Yeah,
tonight?
it was number 7 in my report, but
Stop. That's my.
closing at 11 o'clock. It will be closed for the day. Tomorrow, April 10th.
I missed it. My mistake, sorry. So anyway, have a good evening, and thank you for coming out tonight.
Go on. No, same, the seniors, some new faces, and obviously like Tina has said, as well as, hate to say older people coming back to speak and new people coming up to speak. It's great. So with the weather so nice out there and you still came out is appreciated. Thank you.
I think Mr. Lloyd being out here today has brought the students out also. Good night.
I'd just like to remind everybody that this is a local election year and the seats of mayor, council, clerk, and treasurer are all up for election, and you have till April 23rd at 4 p.m. sharp to file paperwork. If you have any questions, you could go to the State of Michigan website under the Michigan Secretary of State website under information for candidates, or you could give us a call or come into the Allen Park Clerk's office. I'd be remiss if I didn't comment on the Vitrano's thing. Delicious pizza, actually. About a year and a half ago, I went to my son and I went to a Pistons or Red Wings game, either or, I can't remember, but we ate pizza at Sapino's right at the Eastern Market. That was on a Friday. Then on a Sunday, my wife, my other son, and my older son, we went to Vitrano's, and I agreed fully with my oldest son, who's 13, Dad, this is good as that pizza we had downtown. It was great pizza. It really was. But I don't mind if you get angry at the city, but this gentleman shamed us as citizens for not supporting a business. I'm speechless. I'll take a beating any day for the city, but to try to shame citizens and then tell us, we'll show you he moved to Farmington Hills, I'm sorry. That just really upset me, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything. Again, great pizza, but to blame citizens for its failure, that's beyond me. I'm sorry. Thank you all for coming out. God bless you. Good night.
I'll try and keep this brief because it's too nice to be cooped up inside. I know that we have a lot of reports that are posted along with our agendas and our packet. I'm not sure if everybody reads through them, but I want to cover a few. The library, we've got a terrific library as noted in the administrator's comments, but also they have posted on their report that the 2019 AARP Downriver Tax Preparation is available free to residents of the Downriver area, primarily senior and those with low income, and that is still available until it ends April 11th, and that's at the 37 North Church on Reek Road. You set up an appointment, so anyone who's interested, I encourage you to take a look at the report. The number you can call is 734-250-8487. Might want to take advantage of that or know someone who will. Also, something that was brought to my attention way back in 2015, I kept the note by one of our residents, was that residents of the Wayne County can avail themselves of free tuition at the Wayne County Community College. So keep that in mind if you're interested in getting up to date on some items. I had a number of other things that I'm going to pass on. Last council meeting, I mentioned attendance at a SUDS meeting. where I brought some statistics about your odds of passing from various things, including opioid abuse, which I think was fourth on the list, just preceded by suicide. And I was going to let that go, except that it occurred to me, I attended something at Baker College last year where they gave us a wristband that said, "It's personal." And I didn't think too much about it, except last week, I got an email message from my daughter that one of my grandsons, Piers, 21 years old, who had struggled with substance abuse, committed suicide. And I knew him, not well, but I knew him because he played baseball with my grandson. And I knew his parents because we sat in the bleachers. What made this even more tragic was that 3 years prior, his brother died of an overdose. And so when you go home tonight, say a prayer for them. Say a prayer for your children and talk to them. Thank you for being here. Good night. I have a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Mr. Rourke and Gavaraki, thank you. We are adjourned.